Yo, what's going on everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with DrinkABeerandPlayAGame. Today we're going to be reviewing the Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti that was released on the Famicom.
Released in 1989, this is actually the second game to be released in the Splatterhouse series, and it's a Japanese exclusive. Also, it's more of a spin-off than a sequel in any way. While the game definitely goes in a little bit of a different direction, it still keeps that basic Splatterhouse fun that we know and love.
Hey Jim, before we move on, you know how we got this footage?
How, Brian?
Emulators.
Yes, we did, as evidenced by the English text in our Japanese-only game.
Emulator. Alright, so the graphics. Jim mentioned to call it a sequel to Splatterhouse would be incorrect. It is its own spin-off. It keeps some elements the same, like the terror mask and all the creatures, but it's set up in a... What's the word I'm looking for, Jim?
Chibi, Brian.
Goddamn Japanese and their weird shit.
God damn it, again!
Anyway, so this anime style...
Whatever, just go.
It's actually pretty goddamn adorable. The violence is toned down because you don't mind it as much, but still, you'll see decapitations, you'll see little demon fetuses coming at you, so it's actually kind of violent, but it's just veiled so well in this cute style that we actually enjoyed it. The colors are really vibrant, each level looks completely unique, and we really enjoyed it. It's a shame it could have never came out for the NES. Obviously, being an American, we didn't have the Famicom back in the day. So getting to play this now was actually a whole lot of fun. As you see from our scores, I gave it a 9, Jim gave it an 8. I was just really impressed with this. As far as the beer requirement meter is concerned, I'm only going to add 1, since it's goddamn chibi!
The sound. It's actually a really good package here. Even though it could be considered a little oddly upbeat for a Splatterhouse game, it goes for the cutesy style, so it fits. The music's actually really good, and being a Famicom game instead of a NES game, it has that extra sound channel that the Famicom has. So it really comes through here, and the music in the game's pretty damn good and dynamic. All the areas have different sounds, even though the boss fights all have the same theme, but that's a minor gripe. The sound effects can be maybe a little lacking, but the package overall, we just really liked, and it sounds great for the era. We both gave it 9s, really no complaints here.
The control's an interesting thing here because it is done really well. I mean, think like Mario well. Take out the momentum aspect of it, but it's just very crisp, and it's very straightforward. It's a 2D platformer with just beat-em-up abilities. I don't know how else to call it. We really enjoyed it. The biggest issue we had was the hit markers for some of the enemies and some of the obstacles seemed way too out there. Like, I don't even know how you can make some of these jumps without getting hit, because I sure as hell couldn't. But we had absolutely no issues with it. It goes back to the simple style of hit, jump, nothing else to it, very straightforward. As far as the scores are concerned, we both gave it 9s. It's not perfect, but it's as close to perfect as we would like. I'm not even going to add a beer.
So to piggyback off the control into the gameplay, the game just works for what it's going for. It's a side-scrolling, beat-em-up, hack-and-slash game with a lot of platforming elements, just like the original Splatterhouse, but it's so crisp and just all done so well that you have to applaud the game for what it does. The game was the first one to introduce a difficulty choice in the options menu, which is very welcome. And it also has a leveling up element, which is basically not seen again until you get to the 2010 game. You kill enemies, you get points, and when you level up, you get more health, and Rick becomes ever so slightly stronger. But if you use a continue, you're back to square one, so you're gonna really want to try and not die. Obviously. Like any game. Also introduces a password system. So, if you get stuck on a level, you can just always input a password and go back instead of having to play through the whole damn thing. The game overall it's tough again, but it's not as brutally tough as the rest of the series, and it's also not as tough as the quote-unquote NES hard games. It's tough but fair, we'll definitely say that. You can get through the game, but, as we'll get to in a bit, if you want to get through the game in the best way, you're going to have to really master the controls and memorize where everything is. What can we say? We love this game. I gave it a 9, Brian gave it an 8. There's almost nothing here to complain about. I'll add a beer just because of celebrating just how well this game pulls this off.
The originality, just like for the rest of the Splatterhouse series, is a tricky subject because it's a beat 'em up. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. It's nothing specifically new we haven't seen in games from this time. However, while you're playing it, it feels like a new experience. With the sound, the enemies, the decapitations, it just feels like a new experience. But when you really break it down, there's not that much offered. And considering it's really a spin-off, the story's kind of loosely been told before. Granted, it's a whole new idea with this Pumpkin King coming and stealing your girlfriend. That kind of plays off the old ghosts and goblins feel of you're banging her in a cemetery and that demon comes down. Same kind of idea.
Wait, banging?
Look at the beginning. He's in his underwear. What else are they doing in a cemetery?
Alright, fair enough.
So anyway, as you see from our scores, I gave it a 6. Jim gave it a 7. If you play this game now, after playing many platformers throughout your life, you might not feel it's original at all. But if I was a kid and I played this would feel like a brand new experience. I'm not even going to add a beer.
As far as replayability goes, there's actually some here. You can get through the game. Like I said, you have a password system if you need to use a game over. But if you want to master the game, there's different endings, and there's a couple specific things you have to do in the game in order to get the best ending. So you're going to have to play through it a lot to learn every single bit about the game, memorize where all the enemies are, to get the best ending and to beat it in one playthrough without using a continue. Good luck to you there. We both gave it 7s. It's going to take you a while to really master the game. As far as beer goes, I'm only going to add 1. Really, you don't want to be too drunk for this game, because if you want to get the best ending and truly master the game, you can't be too drunk. But a little alcohol in your system can take that edge off and make you a little looser during gameplay. Who knows, it can only help.
Jim likes being loose. Overall, Jim and I were just so pleasantly surprised at how much we enjoyed this game. I actually beat it last year, around Halloween time, and it's actually a perfect game for that time. It's got all the spooky settings without being way too gory, and it's everything you expect from a horror game on an NES, except it has that added level of having what we mentioned, the decapitations, the type of monsters. It's all shit you can't see. So unfortunately, if you want to try this game out, you're going to need to download an emulator and get the ROM for it. Of course, you can get the Famicom, but ain't nobody got time for that shit. Just get yourself an emulator. Save yourself a shit ton of money. As far as scores are concerned, I gave it an 8, Jim gave it a 9. When we round up all the scores, it comes to an 8.1, which is actually the highest scoring of all these Splatterhouse titles. This game, the simplicity of it and just the way it performed is what really made it shine. And honestly, for a platforming 2D game of the time, it's in my top 5 favorite now. I think Jim would agree too.
Yep.
When it comes to beer pairing, this one was a no-brainer. We're talking a game that you gotta play during Halloween. So what type of beers are coming out during Halloween? Pumpkin beers. And what better than Pumpkin? Come on, the main boss in this game is Pumpkin King. It's a perfect match. That's an amazing beer for the season to match an amazing game for the time. Pair these two together and I guarantee you're gonna have an awesome time all night long. As always, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, or better yet, why not subscribe? Till next time, guys, cheers.